Hi everybody, it's Thursday, it's Wapi webinars, and I'm glad to be here with you together with our friends from Taxually, Robert and Stefan.
Mr. Fridman, what have you been doing in the last 6 months?
They are still deciding if they're to register or not. It's better to register right now till the end of the year.
To go on the new markets, register VAT from the beginning.
European company to go to the US without a company, it's a bit more challenging. Pain points are understanding what their concerns are, and that's the way we can adapt our communication, our services, and our attitude to the whole business.
Hi everybody, and it's Thursday, it's Wapi webinars, and I'm glad to be here with you together with our friends from Taxually, Robert and Stefan. Thank you guys that you have joined us today. I'm sure it will be a wonderful webinar. The previous one was amazing, and this must be even better. Hi.
Hi guys, thanks for having us. It's great to be again here and talk about VAT and what is ahead of us in the next months and year to come. It's been a hell of a ride this year as well. We didn't expect it to turn this way, I guess, most of us. But I think e-commerce is the one probably least to complain about the changes and implications that we've been going through.
Absolutely, absolutely. E-commerce is the field that is continuing to grow, but at the same time, e-commerce is the field that changes every day. So we have to be very, very flexible. We have to be in contact with each other. We have to discuss what is happening on and to search for the options to solve all the tasks, all the issues that are happening all around. For those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Alexander Fridman. I am CEO and founder of company Wapi. Wapi, first of all, is helping you with the fulfillment and logistics all over the Europe. We're making the service pick, pack, and ship easy for any sales channel that you're using all over the Europe. And also, we created Wapi the community, Wapi webinars, to search all over the internet information, how to help you to increase your sales, how to help you to solve difficult tasks such as taxes and VAT and everything what is connected with e-commerce. And today, our topic is impact on VAT after Brexit. Brexit is a very big topic all over the year. I think for most of the people, it's a big topic for several years, but for e-commerce, it's mostly this year, yes? Because of the Amazon, because of all the changes, because of the movement of the goods. And one of the difficulties is VAT. So Stefan and Robert are professionals in this field. They're founders of company Taxually, and I hope you will guys tell us, clarify something, what will happen, what to do with all of it.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, it's going to be, just to build on what you said, while most of the e-commerce sellers have to focus on sales and increasing their revenues, we are here to support that in a compliant manner and make sure that nothing is missed towards tax authorities, as they are increasingly better equipped in terms of technology and data analytics. So they have more insight and more knowledge about what is happening in the market than they ever had before. So,
okay.
Are you ready?
Before we start, tell us something interesting about your company that happened since our previous webinar. Because usually when I start with the new people at webinars, I ask, tell us about yourself. So we already have with you a webinar when you tell about yourself. This is the second one, and I want to hear what has changed. Maybe some news, something different. What happened in this period? I think it's almost,
when we had it in
it's almost half a year, 5 months.
Yeah, something around 6-7 months ago.
Yeah. Tell us something great. What happened with Taxually for the past 5-6 months?
Well, it's been a busy year. We've tripled our head count since last time we talked. We've registered about 4,000 VAT numbers across Europe
Wow.
since then. So it's been pretty busy. I think when we talked last, we were around 300-400 clients.
Yeah,
Now,
kind of that.
now when I checked last night, it was 1,700. So it's
Wonderful.
and I mean, e-commerce is booming. We are looking at a lot of opportunities, how to simplify it, how to extract data, and
It means that there are a lot of new players on the market, right?
a lot of new players, and we see also a lot of growth from the old clients as well. In terms
But
of,
if you are saying about registering new companies and new VAT numbers, that's about the new players.
Not just the new ones, is there also the existing ones who are just expand their business to other countries as well?
yes.
Okay.
Well, what we see is typically that adding a new country, whether in Amazon or beyond Amazon, in another marketplace or through your own web shop, usually increases the sales by 15 to 25% on average, which is an interesting metric for those who are selling in a single country. That usually selling cross-border opens new doors and new opportunities for sometimes even new products.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what trend do you see during this year? Maybe companies come from United States of America. Maybe companies mostly expand inside of Europe. Maybe you see some more Chinese companies coming and registering in Europe. What trends did you see this year?
Well, we see a lot of non-Europeans expanding into Europe. There has been a huge increase. What I cannot judge is whether they were already in Europe, they just didn't have VAT numbers, or they were, because there's always that possibility, or they are just starting to sell. We also see a lot of, so the volume of sales compared to, let's say, 5 years ago, we've seen only big retailers selling on.
This is juice, okay? This juice. Don't drink anything. I'm just
Vodka.
We know how morning juice looks like in the Baltic countries.
Yeah. Okay.
This is also just coffee, right?
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful for sharing this information. It is motivating everybody, and me and everybody who is listening us. It's motivating because we have to move forward. We have to expand our companies. We have to go more deeply in e-commerce because e-commerce is booming. And what you're saying is another information to prove that e-com is booming. So you're telling about what is not in general, not in news. You're telling what is happening in your company, and you're sharing with huge numbers. So guys, everybody, we're on the right way. So let's start our webinar. Let's share the screen, your presentation, and let's find out what to do with VAT after Brexit.
Okay. So we went with a bit more general approach, starting with some more recent updates and expectations in this COVID era. So what are the VAT implications of growing? And there are three main topics that we wanted to touch base on. The VAT registrations during COVID second wave now, what you can expect, how it looks, what are the challenges. Then we'll talk about the new marketplaces that are available and the implications of those. And then we'll leave the juiciest part for the finish, which is the post-Brexit VAT compliance in the UK and what you should be getting yourselves prepared for.
So you already know what will happen after.
Well, I didn't want to put a big question mark on that slide, but I could have done it because there's still no clarity. These are mostly what we'll talk about are warning signs, just to get you get your head around what are approximately the expectations now in the market, and then we'll see what turns actually to reality.
Okay.
On VAT registrations, so Robbie, what do you think about these extended timeframes? How does it look now?
So how we see in every kind of business, this COVID second wave is already affected a lot of them, and it's also affecting the time frames between to start the registration and to get the VAT number. So we see some delays in a lot of countries. For example, I will tell some examples, like for example, in Germany, the regular VAT registration takes something between 4 and 5 weeks. And now during the COVID, you must expect around 6 till 8 weeks. So we see a lot of delays, like
almost twice.
Yeah, like almost twice. It's not in every country the same, because basically in Czech Republic, it doesn't affect as much as in Germany, because from 1 to 2 weeks, we are now something between 3 and 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what about the documents? Do they tend to change these requirements constantly and now add new things since COVID started, or how do you feel about it?
I feel that in some countries, the restrictions are much detailed right now, and they are requesting a lot of additional documents. For example, in Germany, you need to send them for the VAT registration, your inventory, and your screenshots from Amazon Seller Central. This before wasn't the requirement. This same will happen also for UK registrations right now. We can see that they are requesting also some new additional documents, but we are already prepared for these ones. So our clients will get all the information what is needed for these 2 countries. We will also send
maybe for example, what new documents are you talking about?
So most typically,
like
in the past, tax authorities were pretty easygoing. You had to submit a certificate of incorporation or something from the trade registry, confirmation that you have a VAT number in your country or a tax number in your country of establishment, and the ID of the legal representative. So these are the three most common requirements for tax authorities. Now, what they changed in the last couple of months is, and this is primarily driven by the huge VAT gap that exists there, that there are a lot of, when you calculate how much VAT should be paid based on the GDP and how much was actually paid up, there's a big difference. And they started looking into the depths of it and realized that there are a lot of people who have VAT numbers and are trading in Europe. And this is not just specific to e-commerce, this is more broader issue. They're not actually paying that VAT. So they started looking for additional assurances that they're actually performing certain activity. How do they do that? They look within the marketplaces. And this is tied to our third point, the thorough analysis. You wouldn't believe how deep tax authorities go nowadays. If you tell them, I'm selling...
Do you think they know how to use Helium 10?
Sorry?
Do they know how to use Helium 10?
They might be able to use that as well.
Okay.
And what they even check the feedback from customers. So if they see you, for example, Alexandra, you say that you're trading from September 2020. They go on your website, your Amazon site, or even your own website, and see that you have customer feedback that dates back to April. They will tell you, Mr. Fridman, what have you been doing in the last 6 months?
Here is the screenshot, right?
Here's the screenshot. Here's your feedback.
Okay.
So taxpayers have to be much more careful now than they had to be before, and because tax authorities do have the opportunity and will use that opportunity to validate.
Okay.
At the same time, this COVID has put a lot of pressure on how they communicate with taxpayers, and it's much more difficult to reach sometimes tax authorities because, surprisingly, they also work remotely. And this is also one of the issues that drives to our previous point on extended timeframes, that they don't have the capacity or the ability to connect with taxpayers or the service providers. And then last but not least, we are still not experiencing everything. So there might be other surprises here. And it's best that you, as taxpayers, prepare for that, especially technology-wise, be prepared that they will go into the depths of it and not lay back.
And one more thing.
In general, don't cheat. Don't cheat with tax authorities, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, like I just wanted to mention one thing during the registrations right now during the COVID. What we are advising right now for the clients, if they are still deciding if they're to register or not, it's better to register right now till the end of the year to be prepared for the next year instead of registering during the January, because in January, February, the tax authorities will clean and will register all the outstanding clients, so they will get the VAT registrations much quicker than in January.
Okay. So if there are still those who are cheating, please stop doing it now in December. This is your last chance. And start working normally as everybody. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, let's see how new marketplaces are developing. And this is just a highlight from the Amazon's recent developments. They had 5 main countries so far, and now they've opened up the Dutch and Swedish marketplaces. There are a few other countries in their pipeline which they want to expand to.
Sweden already opened, or it will be?
The Netherlands was open, but there are now more services. You could buy ebooks, and there were certain limitations on the products that were available in the Dutch market. And now there's basically no limit. The same applies for Sweden. So they have been accelerating sales there. The other tax aspect here is that there's no inventory stored in these countries. So by default, you don't require a registration. However, for especially Wapi and the customers and network you're working with, since it's much closer geographically, there might be a very quick requirement to register in Sweden, for example, because of the access of sales made to the country. So that's something to always be aware of. And also just building on what Robert was mentioning about the timing of registrations. If somebody is an ambitious business, as soon as they see growth in a certain country, it's worth to register, especially that sometimes you can have also the benefit of lower tax rates in the country of your customers. So it's very useful to do that little mathematical exercise. And we're also happy to help around that to see what is for a specific business the return on investment with a new registration, because we as well look at it from that perspective for our e-commerce customers, that VAT is not just a compliance matter, it's also a business enabler where you can make savings, you can make you can ensure security for the future, that no tax authorities will pick you up, cherry pick you because of your non-compliance. So it's an investment in the future to make it right from the beginning.
Yes, you're right. People mostly, when there is a new country, they don't yet know what will be the sales, and they don't want to spend money on registering VAT. Yes, this is the case.
Yes, and then they are realizing after a few months that, oh, I had to register a few months ago, and that will cost much more than if they did it before. So,
but look, this is why there is the threshold. They can start by below the threshold. They don't need the VAT, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You're just saying that from your experience, they start without VAT and then they like it so much, then they forgot to remember about this. Yeah.
Yes, and most service providers don't help you with the threshold, so you never know where you are with the thresholds. And unless you are fanatic and do the research yourself, I mean, why would you? VAT, it's like, who cares about it? It's not giving you the business opportunity. It's not why customers are buying your product because you charge German or Hungarian VAT. They're buying it because it's a good product or a good service. So it's a tricky thing, and we always look at how to simplify that in advance rather than go down the path of misconduct. Because as Robert said, the cost of not doing it right from the start is always higher than doing it right from the start.
And it's always making the difficulties for every company. Amazon can block your account, and that's always a very big lose for every company.
Okay.
And at that time, they are really in rush. Like, they are calling you every day to help me to unblock the account. But before that, they wasn't realize how can it impact their business.
Okay. If you go on the new markets, register VAT from the beginning. The well-known new markets that we see now that Stefan and Robert are showing us is Netherlands and Sweden. These are the most talkable, the countries about which everybody is talking because Amazon announced that these are the new markets for Amazon in Europe. Okay, let's go further.
Okay, post-Brexit VAT compliance in the UK. Let's see how it looks from the UK company's perspective and how does it look from European companies' perspective. Now we put here something, I mean, most of our audience today is from continental Europe, but there's something that we wanted to highlight anyway because there's a lot of European companies who have their businesses established in the UK as well. So for them, to trade in Europe from January onwards, they will have this fiscal representation requirement, which is an additional cost to their business.
And can you tell a little bit more for everybody about fiscal representation requirements, because it is rather two complicated words and not a lot of people understand what does it mean.
Yes, sure. Good point. It's basically fiscal representation is like a guarantor for the taxpayer in the certain country. So for example,
it must be a legal entity.
Yes, and if, for example, Wapi, it would be a UK established company or a non-European company, and that's how it works currently, they would need somebody like Taxually to guarantee that if they don't pay their VAT, the tax authorities can go after somebody. And we, as an established company in Europe, we provide that security to them. It's not everybody can be a fiscal representative. There's a certain reputation you have to be able to deliver such services. And we provide, of course, that as part of our service because it's a necessity. And in that case, we most typically are jointly liable for that VAT. So that's why we also choose our customers carefully in this respect.
This is needed for companies who have no legal entity in Europe or in the country, or for example, in Spain. No legal entity. No, if you are a German company and you have German VAT, you don't have to have fiscal representative in Spain, right?
No.
No, it's only for non-European companies.
Yes.
So if you have non-European company, for example, UK now from the January, right?
Yes.
Or United States of America or Canada or any other country, then you have to find a fiscal representative, such as company Taxually, so that Taxually will guarantee to the local government that if the trader disappears, you guys will have to pay the taxes.
Correct.
Yes, and we will be also responsible for all refunds and everything in the other case.
Yeah, again, please, what does it mean?
So for example, if for any reason there is refund from the tax authority side, then we would collect that and of course pay it back to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
But it's
so it's in both ways we will be the responsible for the client.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, continue, please.
okay. The other aspect is importation to Europe. So whenever you import, whether you're an European or non-European client, taxpayer, you always have to have this EORI number, which is basically a unique identification towards the customs authorities. And it's enough if you have a single number across the whole of EU. Now, UK was easy to get this number, and a lot of companies were importing to UK and then distributing their
Goods to Europe,
across Europe. So for those who were in this supply chain, they need to consider now whether they change the supply chain also, whether to import for another company, for another country, and which, and in that country to request this identification number to simplify the processing from a customs authority.
Yeah, so the main question is now people will have to have two EORI numbers, one for UK and one for Germany.
If they are using both marketplaces, then yes.
So if they had German EORI, then they'll have to go to UK authorities to get another one. Or if they were based in UK and they've got an UK EORI, now they have to go to Germany and get the EORI number there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it actually helps to get this number, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, wonderful. So companies from the UK, if you want to trade in Europe, first you'll have to find yourself a fiscal representative, and secondly, you'll have to get another EORI number. Let's go further. What surprises do we see there?
Well, there's the customs border will be set up. So there's still a lot of work in this respect. This is the murkiest aspect of the post-Brexit world. What will be the depth of the customs border and the checks performed there. But if we look at the worst case scenario, then UK will be treated for most of the countries as a non-European country. There will be an official border. Goods would have to be cleared at border between the countries. Of course, that is not just an administrative step, but it's also something to have in mind in terms of inventory optimization, because if there is something to potentially block you at the border, then you have to plan in advance how much stock you will move from one country to another to make sure that your clients get timed your products. And in the e-commerce business, I think apart from quality, the speed of delivery is an essential element to success. And it's key to have a well-distributed warehouse. And I guess this is one of the great benefits of using multiple providers. For example, apart from Amazon having a warehouse with Wapi, so that they can help you distribute that risk as well.
Amazon doesn't do customs clearance. It doesn't help with the goods entering the market. You can use Amazon only for pick, pack, and ship. But all the things that happens before, you have to solve it somehow. And if you want to do it easy, you go with Wapi, because we're in all the countries.
And that's the reason why we're always advising also to combine multiple countries with FBA and FBM as well.
Right. When you talk about customs borders, I instantly have a question that I want to see how will be done the customs border between Ireland and UK.
Yes, so
very good question.
Very good question. And they decided to keep that border open for now, which is an interesting aspect of how they're going to how that is going to be pushed through, because if they keep that one open, why wouldn't they keep open then the ones in Dover as well? So it's a very tricky, and I'm looking forward to see how that develops in the next month.
Absolutely, the same with me. I want to see how it happens, because it looks like everybody will go through Ireland like through a bridge or through a tunnel.
Yeah, like that's an agreement, and I think they already proceed this. So
okay. So with customs, I would add that be careful and restructure your supply chain, because you don't want to pay customs clearance twice. You don't want to pay customs clearance in UK and then move your goods to Germany and pay import tax again in Germany. So be smart and look at your supply chain and restructure it.
So for now, what will be really important for every businesses which are registered in, for example, Germany and UK, we will advise to split the goods in the warehouses, to be prepared for both markets, and it will also be a big impact in your product visibilities and delivery time. So yeah, in these two countries, I think it will not affect the local customers, just the cross-border movements.
Okay.
How Stefan said, it will be an import and export instead of intra-community acquisitions and sales, how it was applied before.
Yeah, so with this whole change, there's a lot more administration coming the way of taxpayers. Moving goods between inventory across Europe was very easy. The documentation was very straightforward, very standardized. Now there's at least one more document. The lead times have also extended.
You mean between the UK and the European Union?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because UK is now a country of third world, right?
Yeah, third party. Yeah.
Third party, how it is said in Europe. There is European countries and the third world.
Yes, so it's going to be a big challenge for a lot of UK-based businesses, and we see also a lot of relocation for this purpose, either to Ireland or to other continental European countries, for this very reason, that it's so much more administration that it has to be considered from their perspective as well.
Okay, wonderful. But I think you will help with all this administration, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, we are there to support taxpayers in these aspects. Of course, there are certain elements that we focus more on. There are other partners like yourselves who help with the customs clearance and the importation related aspects. I think that it's best to look for these products and choose between these partners, as we have decided to partner in this sense as well, because that keeps a lot of administration away from the taxpayers in the end.
Okay, wonderful. A lot of difficult work, but everything looks like it can be solved.
Absolutely. I mean, the world is changing at a pace that it has never changed before. And I think those in e-commerce especially have to be very agile to these changes and continuously adapt to what's in front of them, because one day doing business there's no guarantee that the same day will look the same. So it's very important to remember that every morning.
Okay, wonderful. Let's continue.
We got to the end of our slides, actually. So these were the three main topics that we wanted to highlight today and to remind people on the market.
Thank you for telling about these main 5 topics about the Brexit. For me, is also a very interesting question in general, how to manage the legal entities, because nowadays it was big Europe. Now Europe is split to Europe and UK. But actually, all the e-com sellers want to sell in United States of America first, because it's the biggest market, UK and European Union and other markets. So everybody's like discussing and thinking, what is the easiest way to sell everywhere? Not just in Spain, but for example, in these 3 areas, United States, UK, and Europe. Where to establish the legal entity, what numbers to get, what is the like optimum solution for all of this?
I think it's always the best to establish the company in your country of origin, from where are you coming from, you know, and that company which is registered in your country of established, you can register for VAT in any country, what we mentioned, in Europe and UK. And after that, it's a great opportunity to expand also to US, because as we know, that's the biggest market right now for e-commerce business.
Yeah, the interesting thing about moving from one continent to another is that from US to move to Europe, it's easy not to set up a legal entity. So you can get away with just having a US-based company. For a European company to go to the US without a company, it's a bit more challenging. And not just for tax implications, but also for the logistics, the sales tax implications, and the whole legal side of running a business in the US. And what we see is that those coming from US to Europe, they usually stay with their US company. And when people are moving from Europe to the US, and under Europe, I refer to EU plus UK as well, they tend to establish a separate US-based company and run their operations from there.
Or they are using some third-party company, which is providing the
off-the-shelf service. Yes. So in the US, since it's such a big market and it's a very homogeneous market as well, so there's the same language, the customer behavior is much more similar than it is across the different countries in Europe. It needs a much higher focus as well to make sure you push through. And on the other hand, the competition is much higher in the US than across the European marketplaces.
Across all of our other world.
Yes.
Okay. So as you said, the best idea is to establish the company at the place where you're located.
Yes, I mean, it's always, there are certain advantages of having companies in certain jurisdictions, but I think when you're trying to set up a business from that perspective, you're not setting up your business to do sales and to drive your products. I think legislation and administration should not drive where you're setting up your business. Usually in the evolution of a company's development, I think this type of restructuring is something that comes at later stages when you are a certain size, rather than in the beginning. I think in the beginning, you should opt for the simplest possible way, which is most typically setting up a company where you are at that moment and then growing up from there. Because problems that you're facing with your first 10,000 euros of revenue are not the same as the problems that you're facing when you reach 1 million, 10 million, or 100 million in turnover. So, and of course, your focus as well is different, because in the beginning, up until a certain stage, you really have to focus on selling. And then once you have a team, once you have the organization set up, you can start thinking of, okay, how can we optimize structure.
Okay, so Brexit is definitely a very important topic nowadays, but maybe there are more topics that your clients are asking now. Some highlights. What questions do you receive from the market? Maybe connected with COVID, maybe with different new rules, anything, what happens now, what you can share with the world?
Mm-hmm. Well, what we see is that there's a concern around inventory replenishment. So how frequently will they be able to move their inventory to different warehouses? Are there going to be any blocks on certain products? Any limitations to transportation? This is one of the subjects that is floating around and coming up more frequently than it used to come up in the past.
Okay, this topic you're saying from the perspective of the tax authorities, or
from customers, from the taxpayers.
So you think there will be some problems from about the tax fares, about replenishment inside EU, or you mean EU and UK?
Both, and also from a lot of products that are sold within the EU are also coming from non-European countries.
Yeah.
So there's a concern that if there's transportation going to be blocked, now as we've seen that some of the borders have crossed for personal traveling, some are then asking, okay, will it then be closed for business traveling? Will it be closed for logistics? How far can we go?
And what we are talking about is all affected by COVID, these rules and blockades.
We don't see any challenges like this, blocks for the replenishment yet. At this point, we can deliver goods to any our warehouse in between of them. We don't have any problems with it. And I hope that there will be no problems like this in the future, because if they will stop the replenishment between the warehouse, it is almost like
the end of the world.
End of the world, right?
This is just a common question.
People can sit at home, but goods can't. Goods have to move around.
This what Stefan mentioned. It was just a really common question in the last 2 months from bunch of sellers. Because they are scared, they see that all retailers and everywhere the shops are closed right now. So everyone is a bit scared, like what will happen, because no one knows.
I hope that everything will be wonderful, and so that people would be motivated. Can you tell everybody your life hack or something to share? I asked you about your life hack 6 months ago. Maybe you can share something more now, because you've got a very successful business, and everybody wants to have successful business. Everybody wants their sales to multiple in 1 year, in 10 years time. So what is the secret? Tell us one life hack from Stefan, one life hack from Robert.
I think it's keeping an eye on the market, knowing what's out there, what customers are looking for, talking to customers all the time. I mean, we talk to them all the time, asking them different questions, understanding where their pain points are, understanding what their concerns are. And that's the way we can adapt our communication, our services, and our attitude to the whole business.
Right. This is the key to bring the value to the market, because you ask the question, you understand the pain, and then you can create the value. And that's what you're talking, and that's very important, right? So second life hack.
I will say.
What you're thinking. You're choosing. You're choosing.
I think Stefan said it's really the main point of that, and I will say also, like, hard work pays off.
Yeah, hard work.
And I think and I think for everyone who is doing or in some business, the main word to repeat yourself every day is the focus.
Focus.
Because if you are losing the focus, then I think you will lose the attentions and everything. So, and everyone, your audience, your customers, your business partners, everyone will feel it. So,
right. You know, sometimes it's very difficult to choose because in business, you always have a lot of different focuses. Focus on the client, focus on the product, focus on the profits, focus on the everything. A lot of focuses. Somebody comes to you and brings you a new project, and you think, "Wow, maybe we should try this one also." Focus on the new project.
Yeah, it's really hard to find the right way between all these parameters and effects. So.
But if you find it and you focus right, then you've got the success.
Yes.
Absolutely. Agreed. Thank you very much for the webinar. Thank you for the information that you have shared with us today. I hope all the companies who were thinking about problems connected with Brexit now have answers or info what to search for. And of course, you can contact directly Stefan, Robert, and company Taxually, and they will consult you and help you with all these issues because it's very important. There is shortage of time. The 1st January 21 is almost here, so you have to be prepared. This is the last chance to be prepared for Brexit. So thank you, everybody who was with us today. Thank you, Stefan and Robert. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry that I'm not in the Wapi filming studio today, but the next Thursday I'll be there. So stay tuned and wait for the new wonderful webinars together with me, Alexander Fridman, and Wapi community.